Hello and welcome back to Biblical Prescriptions in Action. I'm Nick Evanson, and I'm sharing this short series with you about my ride across North Georgia. And if you didn't see video 1, check the link above here, and you might want to start with that video. But today, it's day 2, and I started the ride fairly early in the morning after getting a little bit of sleep at a hotel in Georgia in the little town of Helen. And I picked up the commentary about 20 miles into day 2. So let's go right to it. Have a look. Checking number 2 here. It's been just over 24 hours since the ride started, and I've gone 119 miles. A little bit of that was off course going to the hotel last night and getting some food last night. But the ride is 360 miles long without any diversions. So I'm getting close to a third of the way done, just over 24 hours. And we'll see how today's pace goes. Yesterday, the end of the day was really slow. The descent off of Trey Mountain was very cumbersome. It was really a creek bed with big boulders coming down. So you really had to be careful, and there were a ton of down trees too. And then this morning, climbed up over, I think maybe it was Hogpen Gap just out of Helen. But it was, I don't know, 2,500 feet of climbing. And then the descent, it was nice and cool today. Humid though, and foggy. And so the descent was difficult. You know, going downhill, I always want to try and go as fast as I can and make up for lost time on the climbs. But with the fog, I was like, okay, I gotta be safe, because if there was something in the road or some of the tight turns, I really just couldn't risk it. So I had to check my speed a little bit more than I wanted to. If it had been clear, I would have been able to probably not touch my brakes and just cruise. Probably going 40 to 45 miles an hour or so coming down that hill, which feels good. Feels like really doing something, clicking off some miles. But now we're back on gravel. This is super smooth though. This is a great gravel road. And it's just kind of rolling. It's not steep, it's fairly smooth. If conditions today are better than yesterday, like the gravel, if it's smoother, there's probably gonna be just about as much climbing today as I did yesterday. Yesterday it was 12,600 feet or so is what I climbed yesterday. And so today it's gonna be at least that much, maybe a little more. So climbing is slow, one foot in front of the other, but feeling good. My seat is a little sore. That's to be expected after spending 14 hours pedaling yesterday. But I've got some snacks in my backpack today. My little musette bag on my back here. Got some snacks in there, and I was missing that yesterday. I wanted real food after a while. For my nutrition, I'm using Tailwind Complete Fuel, I think is what it's called. And it has electrolytes as well as calories. And so it's made to be so you can just drink that and you don't have to really take in food. But you only take so much of that. Like, I get tired of it. Eventually I just wanted some real food. So I got some snacks in the bag today. And that's it for now. Check in a couple hours, see how our progress is going. There's another big climb coming up soon. And that'll be slow going. And it was slow, very slow. Those first 2 climbs of day 2, there's over 4,000 feet of elevation gain. And most of that was at a climbing speed of 3 to 4 miles per hour. And so it was kind of deflating because it felt like I was going nowhere. And that can be a little bit discouraging. But I kept in mind Joshua 1:9, which says, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." And so with this verse in mind, I just tried to focus on the positives.
The weather wasn't so bad. I felt pretty good, and I was excited to get to the next stop, the next store, where I could get some food.
All right, just a little proof of life check-in here. I've made it to the top of Wolf Pen, and then I turned, just as Wolf Pen starts to go downhill, turned off at the top and climbed up Duncan Ridge. And according to my elevation chart, I'm almost to the top of that climb. So this morning, these are a couple of the biggest climbs I think on the route, and feeling good, feeling real good. It's cool. My saddle is feeling a little tiresome. My seat's sore, but that's all right, that's gonna happen. Nutrition's on point, and I don't know, like another 10 miles or so, I'll get to Cooper Creek store, get some vegetable lasagna. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna eat 2 helpings. So good.
And yes, that lasagna was really, really good. They had told us that they'd have vegetable lasagna at the store there at Cooper's Creek Wilderness Management Area. And so I had been looking forward to it for a long time, and it was so good. I maybe ate a few too many things while I was there, but eventually I got back on the road and meandered along the Toccoa River for a good few miles, and it was just so beautiful. I was starting to feel a little bit fatigued. Getting the food in my belly was great, but I might have put a little too much in there, and I was starting to feel kind of tired as well, just from all of the poor sleep the night before and from being up early that morning. And so fatigue was definitely setting in.
All right, afternoon update. It is, what time? 12:43, I'm slowing down. Got a bunch of food in my belly. Tasted yummy, I needed it, but it's a little too much. And now riding, I'm just feeling kind of meh. So I'm thinking about taking a break, stringing up my hammock, taking a half-hour nap. But in the meantime, I'm next to the, I think the Toccoa River, and it is just looking super inviting. People are tubing down it. The water looks so good. And I really just want to go jump in it, but it creates problems being soggy in the saddle and not drying out, so I can't really do that. Maybe I could, but my brain says it's probably not the best idea. That's me waiting. Apologies. Okay, one at a time. One at a time. Here we go. Oh man. Super cool. We're on the Aska trails now, and looks like a pretty nice trail. I just barely got onto this trail before I decided to take a little break. So I've been riding for like 7 hours, and it was getting kind of hot. Sun's out, and decided to put the hammock up, have a little rest. All right, this is the hike-a-bike on Stanley Gap. It's pretty at least, but it's long, a lot of climbing, a lot of hiking. Roots and rocks, you really can't ride over them. It's not worth the effort to ride over them. But there's a nice breeze blowing, thankful for that. And I'm feeling fairly well, thankful for that. And I'm almost to the top, which means I get to go down. So I'm thankful for that. And it's not really very hot out. I'll change my tune after I get in the sun on the climb, but I think it's in the low 80s today. That's what it was supposed to be. And by the feel of things, I'd say that's probably accurate. So no complaints.
So after I finished that big hike-a-bike on the Aska trails, I kind of rode away from my friends because I wanted to try and get as far as I could that day. And so I picked up the pace a little bit and tried to pedal on a bit faster, but that kind of put me in the middle of no man's land. Nobody from behind me was catching up to ride with me, and the leaders ahead of me were too far ahead that I couldn't catch up to them. And so I rode probably for 7 or 8 hours by myself the rest of that day, which I'm not afraid of riding by myself. I've done it a lot, but when you're going on for hours and hours, having a little companionship can really be a big boost to morale. And so I learned to really savor those moments whenever I'd stop and chat with someone and try and just make the most of it.
It's been a minute and I don't have my helmet on, so you get to see my nasty hair. But I've been climbing for a while, and in the heat earlier, I decided to take the helmet off. Going uphill, kind of not necessary. But I stopped at Mountainside Market before this climb, had a lovely caprese sandwich, good conversation with the owner and one of his friends there. And now I'm climbing up the gravel climb to the top of the Cahutas, where we drop into the trail somewhere, I think. But this is a steep climb, very steep. And it goes and goes and goes for 3 miles or something, I think. 3.5. So, but before this, there's quite a bit of pavement, which I kind of like the pavement because I can make up some time a little bit. And so that was good. Still about 30 miles from Mulberry Gap. And then when I get to Mulberry Gap, it's a bed and breakfast. I might stay there for a bit. And since yesterday at 8 a.m., I've climbed 23,512 feet. It's a lot, but still got a lot to go, so. It's very quiet out here, really pretty. Can't argue about the route, it's awesome. The weather's also awesome. The weather's been fairly cool.
As I rode on into the Cahutas on that gravel road, I focused on just trying to stay strong and courageous and be thankful for the opportunity I had. Definitely was feeling fatigue at that point, trying to not be lonely, trying to stay entertained in my brain, keep my thoughts positive. But I was about to have some more struggles. The sun was going down, I was going into the woods, being alone for a long time. I heard some sounds that sounded like a mountain lion, but the mountain lion wasn't the problem. It was the bike computer again.
So guys, I gotta stop and tell you something. I just had my Garmin fail on me again. Last night, it was the rain, and the touchscreen wouldn't work because of the rain. Tonight, I don't know what happened, but it just froze. And like, in a manner that I couldn't get it to shut off, I couldn't get it to turn back on. I just would like restart, but it wasn't doing anything. And I prayed and I prayed and asked God, and I said, God, I trust you. Please fix it. If not, it's okay. I know you're gonna see me through. And I know it was an answer to prayer, and it's working. It came back on. It didn't lose the file. It's got my map back on there. You can see it here. See that? I'm just following that little line, showing me where to go. And it's a little thing. It's inconsequential in the big scheme of things, you know? But I just reminded of the verse, in all your ways acknowledge him and he shall direct your paths. Literally, like, see, literally, that's the path I'm on. And without that, I'd have to be pulling my phone out. I have it on my phone as a backup, but I'd have to be pulling out and looking at it. And I wouldn't have it right here on my bars, and it'd be pretty annoying. Big nuisance, but we could make it. Anyways, pretty awesome how God works, even in the small ways. Thank you, Lord.
So that night, it was kind of a struggle in some ways, but I was so thankful that God had fixed my Garmin, because if that computer didn't work, navigation was going to be way more cumbersome than having to dig my phone out. And so that was a real blessing. I ended up getting to Mulberry Gap around 11:30 or so. And there were a couple of guys who got there just before me. And so I chatted with them for a little bit, and then got myself some food, and then went straight to bed. This journey was amazing, and there's more suffering to come on day 3, but I'm going to tell you about that later. So thank you for watching. If you haven't, click that subscribe button down below, and we'll be back again soon with another Biblical Prescriptions in action.